What's up guys, my name is Jaeger and today we're looking at the new line of GRU thermoform paddles called the MUVNs. Those paddles include the MUVN 13S, the 13X, the 16X, and the 16E. GRU has been around since the first days of raw carbon fiber paddles and they were great. So let's see if the trend continues with their new line of thermoform paddles. So for this review, I'm going to do something a little different. Since I'm reviewing 4 paddles at the same time, I'm going to do a condensed mini reviews for each one of the paddles and then give my final thoughts on all of them at the end. And with that said, let's get into it. All right, first up, we have the MUVN 13X. This is an elongated 13mm paddle that is supposed to be a power paddle. That might have been true this same time last year, but that's simply no longer the case. This didn't have the punch I was anticipating from a 13mm elongated thermoform paddle. It lacked the plow through that you typically get from a power paddle, which shouldn't be a huge surprise with the swing weight of 114. It definitely felt more like an all-court paddle to me. As far as spin goes, I didn't feel like it was lacking, but it also wasn't anything special. But GRU says that this paddle gets 1975 RPMs, which very well could be true, but while playing with it, it felt slightly lower than that, like closer to around the mid to low 1800s. I thought maybe that was the case because I was playing in colder conditions of around 45 degrees, but then I played indoor and had the same experience. But the thing that this paddle truly lacks is stability. With a twist weight of 5.93, anything not hit directly in the sweet spot is gonna die on your paddle. That twist weight number comes in at the 32nd percentile of all paddles tested by John Q. You can see his entire data spreadsheet on all of his paddles that he's done on his website, johnqpickleball.com. If you haven't checked him out yet, go do that. He's awesome. But this lack of stability affects every single shot that you hit, especially the ones where you need quick reactions. And since the sweet spot size and twist weight are almost always correlated, hitting resets, volleys, and getting into hands battles are not great. What I did like was the swing weight at the kitchen line. Like I mentioned earlier, the swing weight is only 114, and for an elongated paddle, that is extremely low. I really enjoyed hitting the paddle because of the elongated shape paired with a long swing weight. I was able to generate some crazy racket head speed and generate tons of that spin. Then again, I wish the swing weight was higher for shots like drives and serves, as that would make a huge difference. For the feel of this paddle, I wasn't a huge fan. There was very little dwell time on the paddle face, and it left me with this stiff and board-like sensation with the majority of shots excluding dinks. I do believe adding lead tape to this paddle would do wonders for it, but because I was reviewing 4 paddles at the same time, I didn't have enough lead for all the paddles, so I decided not to add lead on any of them to have consistency in testing. And GRU could have very well made the paddle's twist weight and swing weight low on purpose so that you can customize it with as much or as little lead as you like. Despite the MUVN 13S being 13mm, this is definitely a control paddle. I'm not aware of many other control paddles that are this thin. Even though it's thin, it has some fantastic control. Hitting drops and resets felt natural to hit with this paddle. Having a wider standard body shape definitely helped with making the sweet spot larger. Another thing that I felt helped to control this paddle was the handle length. It comes in at 5.3 inches, but felt closer to 5.5. This made it very easy to hit two-handed drops and resets from anywhere in the court. Any shot with topspin like flicks and serves felt just fine. This paddle gets 1846 RPMs, once again, from John Q's paddle database. Not crazy spin, but it's not bad. The twist weight is 6.35, which is pretty average, but I think the sweet spot play is bigger than the twist weight number, if that makes any sense. With that sweet spot size, this paddle easily has the best feel out of the 4 paddles that I've played with. I could really feel the ball sink into the sweet spot and allow me to know how much the ball reacted with every shot. Because of that, playing at the kitchen with this paddle was a blast. I felt like I could dink worry-free about popping the ball up or dropping it short in the net. Just felt very connected. And with a swing weight of 99, it is extremely maneuverable while dinking, hitting speed ups, and while engaging in hands battles. The first game playing with this, it actually felt strange because of how low it was. This paddle has a good pop, so when putting the ball away in hands battles and things like that, I didn't feel like I had to overswing. But when it came to blocking drives, I felt like it was missing a bit of stability and lots of balls were landing shorter than normal off of those blocks. As you would expect, drives and serves are not the best with this paddle because that isn't what it's made for. So I focused on getting more height and depth on my serves than pace, and it worked out just fine. I didn't drive a ton with this paddle because it plays best in the kitchen, but when I did hit a drive, I had a hard time getting the ball to penetrate through the court, which caused me to overhit sometimes trying to get it deeper. All right, I'm gonna be doing the 16E and the 16X together because of how similar they played. Like, the only real differences that I felt between these two paddles are handle length, power, and spin, and they were very small differences. The 16X has a 5.5 inch handle, while the 16E has a 4 3/4 inch handle. I obviously like the bigger handle since I use my two-handed backhand very often. And for spin, I could tell a slight difference between them. The 16X gets 2013 RPMs, while the 16E had 1862 RPMs. That seems like a decent difference, but on the court playing with them side by side, it didn't feel very big. Touch, feel, and power were so marginally different, it's not worth mentioning. I thought these two paddles played decent though. They both had the same kind of muted feel off the face of the paddle. At times it was too muted and I had a hard time gauging how hard I was actually hitting the shot because of the lack of info getting back into my hand and arm. It took a while for me to gauge the depth of my shots because of this. It is a strange sensation and I've never felt the lack of response off the face while playing with the paddle before. But that was mainly on drives and for serves. Speaking of drives and serves, these paddles have pretty good power. The 16E has a slight edge with this. It had a tad higher swing weight and packs a pretty good punch when you do hit the sweet spot. They both have average side sweet spots. I really noticed this while playing defense and hitting resets. But when hitting drops or dinking in the kitchen, they were pretty good. These paddles didn't make me feel like I had to fight with the paddle on any given shot, but they also didn't stand out with any shot either. Which type of player did GRU make these paddles for? The 13X is made for the person that wants the elongated shape without the usual high swing weight that comes with an elongated paddle. Something that can be maneuvered quickly at the kitchen line to stay in hands battles and then hit whippy 4-shot rolls. But I would definitely put some lead tape on it to increase its stability. The MUVN 13S is a great paddle. I loved it. I enjoyed playing with it more than I thought I would, and it does not fit my playstyle necessarily, but is a great control paddle for sure. This is for the defensive grinder, someone that loves to reset the ball and play patient in the kitchen and then wait for the other team to speed up the ball and then smack them with a clean counterpunch. Much like how Colin Johns plays, which makes sense because his YOLO Scorpius paddle plays very similar to the 13S. And lastly, we have the MUVN 16E and 16X. I feel like they want to be power paddles so bad, but play more like all court paddles. They're both solid all around, but they don't stand out in any particular area either. This is for the player that likes to play all types of styles, whether that's hitting drives and playing quick, or someone that likes to hit drops and come into the kitchen line. These two paddles can do it. Overall, GRU has made a pretty good batch of paddles. With the price tag of $160 with discount code BRIONESPB at checkout and a 6-month warranty, they're not a bad option at all. If you are looking to pick one of these up, just make sure that you get the one that matches your playstyle. And that is it for this review. I thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please click that like button for us. It helps us out so much. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.